it's realizing what the real value of what you are to your business, reflecting that back upon the value that you actually reflect to your family.
Welcome to the Business Behind Your Business, conversations to help your business grow and thrive. Hi, I'm Paul Sweeney, founder of Pretium Solutions, chartered accountants and certified business advisors, hosting the Business Behind Your Business. I'm talking with financial advisor Jim Mills. Now, we've spoken to Jim before on the podcast. It was great to have another chat with him. And we were talking about effective ways that businesses can scale to create growth. They can diversify by bringing in other income streams and also looking at how you increase the value on sale or exit from your business. So, during this conversation, which sort of flowed quite naturally for us, we raised this concept of key person risk and why so much risk ties up with the business owner and how that can be a problem for you. But Jim also comes up with some great ideas about how you can reduce that risk and that reliance. And you might be surprised just how big the risk is for your business. So it's something really important to look at. We really enjoyed talking about this, but I think it's a critical thing for everybody to start unlocking the value and look at really how that business of yours can operate without you and why you can free yourself up. So it's a great conversation. Jim has some great things to share, and I hope you enjoy it. The key thing, that whole idea of growing a business, you as a professional, you can't just rely on doing the one thing. Otherwise, have a job and you have nothing saleable at the end, which is
that's right. I mean, the other big drama that you see people have, unless they grow, they run themselves into the ground, right? Like they are the revenue raiser until the day they either sell it or die.
Although, if they are the only revenue raiser, when they do come to a point of selling, there's nothing to sell because you take that person out of the business. There is nothing left.
That's right.
That's a situation you want to avoid, and that's why you have to have a plan, and you have to plan.
Got to. Mate, I was in an Uber months ago, and the driver was a family lawyer who ran his own practice for years and years and years, but there's no saleable value to his business. So he obviously retired. He didn't extract enough wealth along the way, and didn't have enough revenue, and had to go on Uber drive. And this guy was like a very successful family lawyer. Yeah, it's in his a time when he should have been relaxing and enjoying his retirement. So it's a lesson for all of us. Make sure there's some kind of saleable aspect to your business. I mean, there isn't. I mean, some people's businesses just aren't, are they?
Well, I guess that in a way, it comes down to how you actually set it up. So even with that kind of very business that's very dependent on a single person, there are ways to scale the delivery. So we've talked about writing ebooks and publishing those.
Sure. Interesting.
So you can publish. You can sort of leverage off that expertise and create a passive income stream. Some people do that really well.
Yeah.
So there are ways to do it, but again, it comes back to this idea of you have to plan for what you're going to do and look at different ways of maintaining revenue. Because if the business only depends on you, there's nothing to sell at the end of the day.
And what pressure,
Well, suddenly you come from generating the income and then you stop work, the tap turns off, and you've got to rely on your superannuation and your other benefits. And if you haven't been putting attention into that, if you haven't been extracting that wealth throughout the time, you're going to end up with having to live or accept a lifestyle less than what you want because you haven't provided for it while you've been growing your business.
And multiple product lines of revenue is an interesting thing, isn't it? To be able to take the pressure off the others and ensure that you've got the appropriate kind of, levers pulled to survive different. It's diversification, just like investment.
Mm.
You know, you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket or in one person, key person risk, etc.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think, say, your typical small business person can avoid that key person risk? What are some of the things you've seen that people do to reduce the reliance on a sole person?
Oh, look, in terms of key person, like in, in terms of business management, it's actually ensuring that you don't have that key person risk. If you can handle it, like sometimes small businesses are too small and you can't, you have to have a key person in play, you know, and you do have to rely on that person because you've only got 2 or 3 staff or something like that. But, you know, if the business cash flow is warranted and the revenue that key person is generating, that's where key person insurance comes into play, right? So you might look at that person, what kind of revenue they're responsible for 12 months and consider if something happened to them, you know, like, you know, we got to think about the worst kind of things. So what's going to happen? They're going to burn out and leave, or they're going to quit, you know. That's hard to sort of protect against unless you've got other employees and training in place and probably a procedure manual and appropriate training sort of provisions in place. But otherwise, you know, death and total permanent disability and like diagnosis of serious illnesses and things like that, life insurance is going to fix that up. Yeah, so that's what key person is. Key person insurance is. It's very simply death, TPD, total permanent disability, trauma insurance. You know, you calculate it could take me 6 months to replace this person. So what's the revenue this person generates in 12 months divided by 2? That's what they should be insured for, you know, and the company owns the policy and whether if it's against revenue, it's key person revenue. And if you're trying to cover off debt, it's key person capital, and they've both got different tax ramifications in terms of how that works, as you know. So, you know, that's as simple as it gets. It's so not complicated. I think business insurance is probably the most over fluffed sort of strategy because it's so simple. You know, that's all key person is. Business succession is just what's the total value of the business, what's your percentage ownership, and what's it going to take to buy that shareholding out of somebody else. Well, that's the sum insured, isn't it? Death, TPD, and trauma insurance or critical illness, you know. That's it. And just putting that in place and understanding what the cost is. If the cost makes sense, then people should do it.
Yeah, well, that's right, and it's insuring against those types of events which have a high chance of happening to somebody in your business. We hear so many stories of business owners who have been affected or had a key person affected by a permanent illness or disability, and the business doesn't recover from it, but you can take steps to plan for that.
When you look at the cost of this stuff, you know, it's interesting. So I'll see a business partnership where you might have an elderly partner, maybe they're 70 or something like that, and then you've got a 40-year-old, and the 40-year-old is wondering what's going to happen if the 70-year-old falls off the perch. You know, and the 70-year-old is kind of not so worried, but you can't insure this guy, but you can insure this guy. So, you know, there's disparities and the different business partners are all wondering where they're, you know, what's the most important thing, how much does it cost to the business revenue, and they think it's almost like an afterthought because really they're concentrating on running the business and the revenue, and they're trying to minimise expenses, and then at the end of the day, they've got to get their head right around what sort of disaster could happen if we can't buy that person's shareholding, you know, and if we can't insure against it, if we can't have a revenue kind of trigger plan, what are we going to do then? It's then to finance, you know, bank loans and all that kind of stuff.
So it seems to be like there's a lot of things for a small business or a medium-sized business owner to consider. There's a trap there that, as the owner of the business, you try and do everything all by yourself. I think, and what's coming through here is the need to actually get advice from appropriate people that are experts in those fields. One, because they know what they're doing, but two, because it's a much more efficient process than trying to learn all of these things yourself. And each time you're away, you're learning a new process. You're taking time away from running your own business.
Yeah, and it's objective, right? So if you can't be objective in business, then if you can't outsource the stuff that you're not amazing at, you're stuck at trying to do it yourself, and we've already got 50 hats on our heads.
Yep.
So, there are professionals out there that make a lot of sense, and that's the team. That's the business team. So it could be a financial advisor, an accountant, solicitor, or maybe it's a mortgage broker or a private banker. You've got the people around you to be able to sort of cover all bases. So just to keep you afloat. And that's like any amazing professional sports person has got a coach, right? No matter how good they are, and they're probably better at that sport than the coach is, but they've got a coach to keep them online and keep it objective, because it's very hard to be objective with money when you're sort of slaving over it and trying to make things work every day in terms of cash flow and staff management and all of a sudden there's COVID all over the world, and what do you do now? It's pretty comforting to have a good team around you, I reckon.
Yeah. So what are some of the main reasons you've seen for people not insuring their key risks in their business or not planning for it? Are we talking about cost? Are we talking about apathy, or just lack of knowledge?
Oh, look, everyone feels invincible. And this is the thing, in terms of insurances, it's one thing, and it's a grudge purchase. No one wants to pay insurance premiums. It's a roll of the dice. Either you're going to get sick or you're not. The insurance company is going to take your money for premiums and never pay you, or vice versa. And the worst thing that we continuously encounter, because we pay claims all the time, we don't, and it's not even a matter of the client having the appropriate insurances. It's actually fighting the insurance company. So there's a few things going on, right? There's a lot of bad press. So people think, is it worth what I'm paying for? There's a level of doubt. The second one is, I'm healthy. I have my green juice every morning and I jog and nothing's ever going to happen to me. But that's not true. Knock on wood, it is. Knock on wood, it's true. But I've had a lot of good people, healthy young people, cancer, all over the place. Mental health is huge. In the sort of labour industries like builders and whatnot, backs. These aren't fake illnesses. These people have had injuries or they've had major sort of stress breakdowns. Or cancer seems to be a huge one. It just happens, So when that happens, the world falls apart. The threat to your family of you not being there is financially is one thing. Emotionally, it's something else all entirely. But financially, we can actually protect against that. Yes, cost comes into it for sure. Older you get, the more expensive it is. It's as simple as that. The actuaries out there have calculated the likelihood of different age brackets falling into these things like women in breast cancer, really from about 50 to 60, it's just through the roof. Men, prostate cancer starts in the 50s. You've got heart attack for men. It just goes through the roof. The chances of it happening are pretty severe. Over the age of 80, it's 1 in 2 people are going to have dementia. You know what I mean? So we don't want, but if you live your life thinking that this is going to happen every second day, it's a pretty miserable life, right? Yeah. So, so you don't want to think about it. So that's probably it. It's probably people don't want to think about it. They don't want to pay the money for it. They wonder whether it's worth what they're paying for because of bad press. And you know what the other thing is? A lot of the time people never talk to them about it. So they've never had the opportunity to actually address it as a problem, So my biggest regret always is every time one of my clients has a claim, and that's a lot of the time because we just do insurance as a matter of fact. It's not something that we try to push or labour over. It's like we build a wealth plan, and as a matter of fact, there's some insurance protection against it. My biggest regret is every single time that one of my clients has a claim that I didn't insure them for more money. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can take steps to plan for these things to happen, and as part of that overall wealth creation strategy, which is why you're in business.
Yeah.
So there are steps we can take in terms of ensuring that risk, but we can also take steps in terms of reducing reliance on a key person in the business.
Yep.
About that.
Yeah. It's not just insurance, I mean, it's definitely procedures and training and making sure that not just one person is in charge of your world. Wow. And sometimes not so easy to do.
No, I think we have trouble letting go, but I think as you do create that business that doesn't rely on you as the owner, you're creating a business that there's more value in the sale. There's more lifestyle during the time you're running the business. So you've got the ability to walk away from the business and have time with family, have those holidays, have those things you enjoy. And you're also relying on or utilizing the skills and expertise of other people to help you create a strong asset. So there's a lot of reasons to scale your business and reduce the reliance on you.
Absolutely.
We can insure to a point, but we can also create that value independently by the choices we make.
100%. Paul, we go into business because we want freedom, right?
Yes.
And then we become slaves. And unless we grow, unless we scale, scaling your business is freedom. It's actually the reason why you went into business in the first place without you even realizing it. If you don't scale, if you don't build your resources and your processes around bringing in good people that are never going to be as good as you, that's one of my other things. No one is going to be as good as you because, that's why you went into business, because you're really good at it. No one will ever be as good as you. So when you accept that and get over it and start building your business with the appropriate systems and processes in place, that's freedom.
Absolutely. So the big takeaway, talking about scaling your business and protecting that value, what's the big takeaway you've got for us today?
I guess it's realizing what the real value of what you are to your business, reflecting that back upon the value that you actually reflect to your family, and thinking about what that means. And it's certainly worth a conversation around putting protections in place. And in terms of scaling, it's I think it comes back to really looking inside yourself and saying, why am I a business? Why did I go in business in the first place? What's my purpose? What am I passionate about? And and what does this mean moving forward? And unless you want to be a slave to the rigmarole of business, you have to scale. You work yourself into the ground, and maybe you'll be happy doing that, but other people might not. And if they want to grow, they've got to scale.
Absolutely. So some great advice there for us today, Jim. Thanks for joining us. It's been wonderful to talk to you again, and we'll look forward to catching up with you in the future for some more insightful advice on growing value as a small business owner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Do you have a question you'd like our team of experts to answer? If you do, send your question to podcast@thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. To hear more from The Business Behind Your Business, don't forget to subscribe using your favourite podcast player. Or you can visit the businessbehindyourbusiness.com website.